Aita for refusing to give my former son a second chance. Throwaway account. I 48M find out my ex 49F had cheated on me and that the two children she had given birth to 23F and 21 meters only one the girl was mine. I filed for divorce and my ex tried for reconciliation, but I couldn't live with so much doubt. Once we got to court it was like a switch had flipped and she tried to keep me from the children. It didn't work though. I had really good lawyers. In spite of everything I was willing to still be a father to Noah fake name, but my ex can be very manipulative. She told Noah about his real dad and even introduced them. Since then I became strict fake dad while he was cool real dad. When Noah was 13 he told me that he no longer wanted to see me, and that he'd tell a judge the same thing if I forced visitation. I asked him why and if I ever made him feel bad. Noah just said that he wanted to spend more time with his real dad and didn't like my house rules. I was heartbroken, but I let him go and still made attempts to keep the relationship. I called, texted, sent presents, and even invited him to events. Noah wouldn't respond or pass small messages to his sister. When Noah was 18, he legally changed his surname to his father's and told me there wasn't enough room for me to attend his graduation. After that I gave up and resolved myself to live life with being a father to my daughter and son 12M via my second wife. Recently, Noah reached out to me and apologized for his past actions and wanted a relationship again. I was surprised and heavily skeptical, and was right to be so. Apparently, Noah's real dad got married and his wife gave him an ultimatum, and he chose her. I told Noah that while I am sorry for what happened to him, I had no interest in being treated like an old pair of gloves that you only think about and wear when it gets cold. My ex thinks I'm being hurtful and petty, rich coming from her, and my daughter says that she understands my pain but hopes that I can learn to give Noah a second chance. I just don't know, because I'm in a place where I'm fine not having Noah in my life or having any communication with him, and I don't want to rekindle a relationship just for him to drop me again when his real dad changes his mind. Aita, relevant comments Galaxy 956 NTA. While I completely understand everyone else's reasoning, I feel many are missing the most important point. Noah did not reach out because he saw the error of his ways or saw how his mother manipulated him against you. No, Noah is reaching out because his real dad tossed him aside. While it is certainly possible that event opened Noah's eyes, as outsiders it's easy to just say forgive him, he's just a kid. Being the person hurt, it's not so easy to just do it when the event is making you feel like a backup plan in any kind of relationship, much less a father-son one. Having said that, while I wouldn't blame you for not accepting him at all, the most respectful thing for everyone involved would be to let the initial shock or anger subside, then arrange a meet-up and talk to him. During that conversation, hear him out and figure out for yourself. Is Noah reaching out because this opened his eyes, or is it out of anger and resentment at his real dad and using you as a replacement? Oopie feel like I'm just a replacement, or worse a holder until his real dad changes his mind? Commentero, you think you could ask him what he would do if that happened? Oopie have thought about asking him that, but I honestly do think I would believe him if he told me he was genuinely sorry and would still want a relationship with me regardless of whether his dad was in the picture or not. The name change was a big gesture against me. Zenith 30 NTA. He's already 21 years old. He had plenty of time to reconnect with you, but chose to do it now because his dad dropped him. His mom may have manipulated him when he was a kid, but he had plenty enough time to realize that when he became an adult. Also, I don't get why his dad's wife would give his dad an ultimatum. He's an adult. Why an ultimatum was needed? Does he live with his dad? His dad paying for his expenses? If it's about money, then, sorry to say, but is only trying to reconnect with you because of the money. Don't let anyone guilt trip you. Stay firm to what you want. Oopie honestly don't know why his dad was given an ultimatum. He literally stopped talking to me directly when he was a teen and then ceased all other form of contact once he was 18. He had to ask my daughter for my phone number. Tim's 16, your son, because he is your son. He was for more than half of his life. You were in the hospital on the day he was born. You changed his diapers. You're his dad, like it or not, was a middle schooler when he decided to cut you out of his life. I think maybe your interpretation of his motivations may not be correct. There's a pretty strong chance that when he saw that his bio dad would think nothing of giving up his relationship with him for a girl, it reminded him of the dad who never stopped trying to love him, even when he didn't really want that love, and made him realize what he'd lost. At 21, he's still very young, and it sounds like he wants his dad back. Sure, it could end in the two of you yelling at each other and never speaking again. But there is also a very significant chance that this could be the start of rekindling a relationship. I don't think there would ever be a situation where you would say, "Oh damn, I wish I hadn't reconnected with my long-lost son." You're lucky in that it's only been 8 years. It will be much harder to reconnect if you reject him now, just like his bio dad did, and decide when he's 40 you'd actually like him in your life. I think it's fair to say that if the vast majority of 7th grade boys had a choice between a rules and stability dad or a fun no rules dad, they'd pick the second one. Of course it hurt you, but I don't think it reveals some great moral failing of his. He was a young person grappling with the very traumatic fact that his identity changed when it came out that half of his DNA came from a completely different person than he thought. Of the people who were traumatized by this paternity revelation, I would think his trauma would be equal to or even worse than yours, particularly since he was so young when it happened. So you tough for missing out on a chance to get your son back. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay, but at least you'll know. Oop, Noah stopped thinking of me as his dad long before I stopped considering my son. So I want to ask, can two people still be considered family if they stop thinking or treating each other as family, and there's no blood relation? My licorice life, of course they can. People choose their family all the time. My daughter still calls my ex-husband dad, even though he's technically no longer her stepdad, and she has a relationship with her bio dad. There's always room for more love. There's a lot of hurt on both sides of your situation, so reconciliation won't be exactly easy, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. But again, Noah chose to reject me, and I eventually got tired of being rejected and stopped thinking of him in that way. He's choosing me when it seems like he can't try for anyone else, and I don't choose that. You mentioned your daughter, but she did at any point stop calling your ex-dad, and then changed her mind later? Is her bio dad involved in any way, and if he was, would she still be calling your ex-dad? Edit for info, just to be clear, because I keep seeing this. I divorced my ex. Noah was 6. My ex told Noah the truth about his parentage when he was 10, and his real dad came into his life at around 12. This all didn't just happen when he was 13. By the time he reached that age, he already had at least a year to process the inform. When I asked my daughter, since Noah wasn't talking to me, if she thought her mom was pushing Noah to say those things, she said no. Apparently, Noah wanted to spend time with his dad, but because of his work schedule it wasn't always often. But when it could happen, it was conveniently during my scheduled time with Noah. I tried to see if we could work something out, but my ex and Noah refused any compromise. Update. First, I just wanted to say thank you to all the messages and comments and support. It really feels nice to have my feelings validated. After a lot of thought, I decided to follow my wife's advice, write an actual letter to Noah regardless of whether or not I intended to send it. I explained to Noah how much he hurt me by refusing to see me, never inviting me to important events in his life, not wanting to meet or spend time with my son via my new wife, and how legally changing his surname cut deep. I also wrote that in spite of everything, I still didn't take any pleasure in hearing about his father's rejection of him, as I understand how hurtful that can be. I said that even though I knew he was young, I was still angry over what he did, and a part of me felt resentful towards all the time, love and money I spent on him when I technically didn't have to. This letter felt very cleansing, and I read it a couple of times before burning it. In the end, I decided to reach out to Noah and ask my daughter for his new number. He changed it when he was 19 and didn't give me his new one. I sent Noah a message reiterating how sorry I was at how his father treated, but I was hurt how it felt like I was being treated as a last resort, and the circumstances of his desire to reconnect doesn't make me trust the relationship. I told him that I was willing to have some type of relationship with him again, but only under these specific guidelines. Don't call me dad or refer to me as father in any way. We can readdress this in the future, but right now it honestly feels too soon. Don't ever ask me for money, co-signs for anything either. I'm not gonna be his personal ATM for any reason. You invite me to your things, I'll invite you to mine. He's free to complain or talk about his bio dad with or around me, but he needs to understand that I have no kind words for that man, and will either say negative things or nothing at all. I expect him to be nice to my son and new wife, and treat them with respect. Don't go running to your mom in regards to information about my wife or son's lives, as it's none of her business. Don't go running to your mother or sister for any problems you have with me. We either talk about man to man or find someone else. I don't want them trying to put themselves into our business. He needs to understand that going forward, our relationship, if we continue to pursue one, is going to be different and will take more work on his end than mine, as he is less of a priority to me now that he's an adult. When I die, the majority of my assets will be split between his sister and my son through my current wife, and he will only be left the minimum requirement for him to not have grounds to sue. Again, I'm not gonna be his cash cow. The rest of you can agree or disagree, but these are my terms if Noah wants any type of direct communication with me going forward, as this is the only way that I feel comfortable and how I believe I can protect myself if Noah ever becomes hurtful. This will also be his last chance, and if he disappoints me again, then I am prepared to wash my hands of him, because I have more to live for than just waiting to be loved by someone.